Before we get into this Art of War 3 battle, this is my opponent, a 4-time medalist named Headshot with a 76% win rate, and this is the message that my opponent sent to me after the game. So you can decide if this was true or not. Either way, we have an exciting battle lined up here for the tournament. Let's go and get into it. Alright, welcome back to another Art of War 3 replay. I'm your host, JEONG SINAH. And today we're going to be doing the All for the Front tournament battle. The goal of this tournament is just to destroy your opponent. The only difference is there are extra large resource containers that spawn on the battlefield. So we can see my Delta getting a scout onto Headshot's base. Headshot's got pretty good base deployment overall. We see a few supply centers there, a couple barracks. We see Headshot just continuing to build their infrastructure. It looks like they opted to go for the fast alligator build rather than going for a fifth supply center. So I got some infantry moving in, trying to capture this large resource container. Headshot's got that sniper tower up, but I'm going to be able to secure the large resource container there very nicely, and we can see that those resources are going to come in handy. We can see I'm teching up to HQ3 already. I'm just starting to amass Vikings. My plan is to go for mass Navy, mix of Vikings with a few Deltas. We can see Headshot's getting a scout onto my base. There's that rifleman getting in, so Headshot knows what I'm going for. We can see this container has been captured. I'm sending a Viking over. Looks like these Gators are going to clean up the Viking, but I get some very good intel in the process, and I can tell just by fighting these Gators without an attack boost that the Gators are not fully maxed, and if I can go toe-to-toe with Headshot, my Vikings can take on those Gators. So we're going to try and sneak around the back here, but it looks like I was intercepted by these torpedo platforms. This was a really bad micro on my part, and we can now see the Gators coming in from Headshot. I'm continuing to just try and pump out more Vikings as I'm trying to fight here. Luckily, those torpedo platforms are not fully maxed out either, and I'm able to dish out some good damage against Headshot's Gators and torpedo platforms. So Headshot is winning this engagement and is starting to get to my infrastructure. I'm going to switch to a gold common defense boost, and there we go. That's going to boost the power of my torpedo platforms, as well as continue to just boost the power of my Vikings. And with that extra boost, we are going to be able to defend this attack successfully. And we can see that Headshot is out of Gators at this time. Going to move in now and capture that large resource container. So it looks like Headshot's in a little bit of a corner here. I'm going to continue to pump out more Vikings, and I'm going to make a pretty big push here soon. Gold Scout boost reveals that this is a small defensive line. I have the Viking firepower to take it, so we're going to go ahead and move in. Vikings are now starting to shred the defensive line. Those Gators are just getting crushed by my Vikings. Those torpedo platforms trying to dish out damage against my Vikings, but look how many Vikings I have. This is no match for the red player. So originally, this is when I thought I was most likely going to win the game. I knew that I was going to get the naval control here. One torpedo platform just is not going to be enough to take down my Vikings. So we clean up the infrastructure really nicely on the water, and we're going to start to move in towards Headshot's base. We take out that last torpedo platform, really nicely done. My Vikings are now just going to start to rain fire onto the red player's base. For those who are very observant, there is a building that was destroyed on the right-hand side of Red's base. Red is most likely deploying their base further away from the water. And here comes a surprise attack. This is a really nice move from Headshot. Headshot's got 3 Jaguars and 3 Porcupines, as well as a Coyote. And now suddenly I'm in trouble here. All of my firepower is on the water, and I have nothing to defend on the land. I have nowhere to build a rocket tower either to help with the defense. So I'm trying to pump out some units here. My plan is to go with a mix of hammers and deltas. I've got a Delta coming onto the land there. We're going to take out that level 3 assault vehicle factory. Looks like Headshot's now coming in, trying to defend with Jaguars. Meanwhile, Headshot just continuing to exert that pressure on my base. I've only got the one hammer tank. That hammer tank just gets shredded. One hammer tank at a time is just not going to cut it. And Headshot's doing a good job moving straight for my infrastructure. That assault vehicle factory is taking some heavy fire. It's going to go down. And there we go. That factory does go down. Meanwhile, I'm firing onto the level 3 headquarters for Red. Red's probably going to rebuild their HQ further away. And now Red is firing onto my headquarters, but I don't have any space to build away. This is not looking good. I'm going to try to pump out deltas as fast as possible. I don't see any more ground troops yet from the Red player that are streaming in as reinforcements. So I have some time to try and get my units into position. Here comes my first wave of deltas. And this is what's really nice about deltas. They are amphibious. I can move them onto the land. I'm going to start to focus fire on the Jaguar tanks. If I can take out the Jaguar tanks, this will be no problem to deal with. We've taken out one Jaguar tank, but now my deltas are starting to get shredded. There's not enough deltas, so I'm going to have to retreat here. So there we go. I'm going to pull back now. And I've got 4 more deltas rolling onto the land there. And we're going to take out those porcupines. The 2 Jaguars are now firing onto my power plants. I'm trying to lure the porcupines towards my rocket tower, and there we go. Gold common defense boost. The rocket tower does get some extra range. It's going to be able to help out. Meanwhile, I've got 4 deltas on the land here, just starting to clean up some of Red's infrastructure. We're going to take out a power plant there. Deltas are now rolling onto the land. It's 5 deltas, 6 deltas against 2 Jaguar tanks. One of those Jaguar tanks gets cleaned up. And it looks like we cleaned up a special vehicle factory there. Jaguar trying to defend the base there. I'm down to 3 deltas, but there's only 1 Jaguar tank. We clean up the Jaguar. So I use a gold reserve HQ boost and a gold reconstruction boost. I'm going to try and get back into the game as fast as possible. I have plenty of resources, so I can get my base up and running in no time. Deltas, meanwhile, just continue to exert the pressure. We know that Red is low power. We see that lightning bolt symbol. Meanwhile, I'm doing pretty well overall, and I'm continuing to just collect resources on the battlefield. Red does not have map control, and as a result, I am able to just gather all those resources and use those resources effectively. Red's now trying to get rid of my deltas. I'm going to finish off that construction yard. Very nicely done. And now we're going to retreat. 2 deltas is not enough to do any kind of meaningful attack. So now just starting to build a ground army. I've rebuilt much of my infrastructure, so my economy is up and running once again. And we're going to just pump out a bunch of deltas and heavy assaults. We're going to transition into a ground assault. So we know the water is fully secured on my end. So any resources for the duration of the game will go to me on the water. Looks like we got dragonflies, grenadiers, and an armadillo versus heavy assaults and deltas. What's nice about deltas is that they are half decent against infantry. And so you can kind of use them against infantry. And we can see that there's a nice defensive line set up by the Red player. We can see the valley along with some gun towers and Jaguar tanks. We're going to try not to go straight into that valley. That is going to make it very difficult for my units to maneuver. So I'm going to take the top side of the map here instead, and the deltas are going to move on to that sniper tower. So we're going to clean up that sniper tower nicely. All of my heavy assaults got cleaned up, but that's fine. The bulk of the firepower of this assault is with my deltas. If you look at my command points, you can see at this point I have teched up to HQ4, just so I have more command points at my disposal. And I'm starting to self-destruct some of my Vikings there, just so I can get more command points to work with on the land. We're going straight after that level 3 assault vehicle factory. Jaguar comes out of the tank, but 1 Jaguar will not be enough to save the factory. The factory is going to go down. We're going to focus fire on that Jaguar tank. Another Jaguar tank coming in, and we see a Hawk coming out of the Avia factory. So we're going to focus fire on that Avia factory. I do not want Red to get air supremacy. We're going to clean up the factory. Nicely done. We see a couple porcupines there trying to fight my deltas, but that's a bad idea. Those porcupines are getting cleaned up. Now my deltas are starting to run out here. Reinforcements are continuing to stream in for the Red player. Red's got a Hawk now in the air. A couple grenadiers, a porcupine, and with these ground troops, Red is going to clean up my assault force. I am not worried at all though. Red is in a tough situation now. They are in the corner, and I know at this point all I need to do is just keep spamming units and keep collecting resource containers, and I can wear out the Red player. Hawk coming in, trying to exert some pressure. I'm starting to include some Typhoons into the build here. So I've got some fire assaults, hammer tanks, deltas, A couple hammer tanks getting a scout onto the red player, and I'm just continuing to rake in the resources. This is making it so easy for me to build ground armies here. So lots of resources to spare here. Red, on the other hand, is low on resources, so we're going for the spam tactic here. Here we go. Mass deltas moving in with the infantry and hammer tanks. We're going to go over the top this time, and we can see those hawks are trying to dish out damage. Looks like my army's splitting about half here. Looks like that gun tower is going to go down. The hawks are dishing out some good damage, but each time they swing in, they are just getting crushed by my typhoons. Look at how much damage they're taking, and the hawks just burn up in the sky. And this is a large army moving in. Red's in trouble here. I am moving in a large ground army. There's only one hawk left from the red player, it looks like, and one hawk is just not going to cut it. We see a Jaguar tank as well, so Red was able to get a level 3 assault vehicle factory out pretty quickly. So my deltas are now moving in once again. I've got plenty of typhoons. I'm not worried about any kind of aviation that Red chooses to throw at me. We can see that we're starting to take out some critical infrastructure. Power plants are starting to get cleaned up. We're going to go after that level 3 assault vehicle factory once again. And the deltas are just firing onto that assault vehicle factory. I'm going to switch to a red naval attack boost. I'm doing pretty well overall. I know I can just keep that pressure going. If you look at my command points, I am already HQ 5 at this time. I've been getting so many resources that I've just been able to keep pouring them into teching up and also building up my ground army. So these hawks are just getting shredded. We can see that the red player is low power at this time. They're definitely using an emergency measures boost now, just to try and keep themselves going. Red is on their last threads of trying to stay alive. They are going to be able to clean up this ground force, but again, I don't care that much at this time. I've dished out plenty of damage, and I know I'm winning the game so far. I just need to keep applying pressure, just keep taking out those buildings and units. So we see a factory get dropped down. We see a Jaguar tank get cleaned up there before my heavy assault goes down. And now I'm going to move my typhoons back. We see more ground troops moving in now. We see some Zeus tanks in the mix this time. Just continue to pump out more deltas as well. And now we're going to move in another attack force. There are my units on the map, just collecting those resources. Look at my command points. I'm practically full at HQ 5 and have tons of resources. This is an absolute nightmare for this red player. Red is just struggling to produce armies faster than I can. And this is pretty much good game at this point. Just going to move in to start to clean up this red player's base. Those gun towers are getting cleaned up. There's just sheer volume of forces is just too much for this red player. Alright, this is pretty much a good game. The rest of this game is me just partially cleaning up the battle. It is going to end a little prematurely. Hopefully you all enjoyed this battle. It was a lot of fun to fight this battle. Pretty stressful at times when I lost my headquarters, but the important thing with this tournament now is to get that map control. It is so essential. Alright, that's a good game. Hope you all enjoyed it. Good luck with your battles, and we will see you in the next battle.